Redneck Homestead channel. We're here up at the cabin, and we have the Harbor Freight central machinery sawmill all set up. Not all set up, but in the process of being set up for its new semi-permanent home. If you want to come over here, Rick, I want to show everybody what we're dealing with here. Where these two track segments meet, the precision of the bolt holes here is very poor, and that's one thing about this central machinery sawmill that I'm not too impressed with. Is when you pass the saw carriage over this here, it's a terrible bump. It falls out of alignment, falls out of adjustment. So I think the best way to deal with it is to position it properly, nudge it in place with a hammer, and then weld it. I'm not going to totally super weld it, but I'm going to tack it in place, and then I'm going to reef down on the bolts, hold it in place, and go from there. See what happens. That's not good. You can pause it or stop. Like I've said before, the one thing that I'm going to say renders this thing virtually useless is this gap between the track segments. I could easily remedy this by just buying a single uninterrupted length of track, which I have all the materials. I just have not opted to take on that project right now. So what we're going to do is just use these ratchet straps to bring everything into line with one another, tack it in place with a welder, and then reef down on those bolts. The seam on the track is next to perfect, and there's no bump when you roll over it. But I just discovered something that's even worse, and this was a total manufacturing flaw, not necessarily a design flaw, but one of sheer carelessness and quality control. I'll show you what it is. Now, this front roller here is mounted on this vertical post, and you can't really see it from this vantage point, but if you go swing around here, this is hard to film this. This is very hard to film this. Sorry. Bring this into focus, hopefully. See that weld? That weld is rubbing up against that bolt right there, which holds this cross member in place. So the easiest way to deal with this, because I don't have a grinder up here at the cabin, funny enough, I did for a long time, and I brought it home thinking I would never need it. I'm just going to tack this bracket on either side with the welder, and I'm going to remove these bolts altogether. This is a major manufacturing flaw, because this is bumping like crazy. I'm going to show you real quick what I mean. Move this carriage back, and as we slide forward, it stops right there. What a joke. Very disappointing, but it's one of those easily remedied issues. I'm going to get on that right now. Rick, you want to take those bolts out? There's a 9/16 open-end wrench right there. Right to your right. Buried. Okay, this does not alter my decision whether I would buy this or not. It's something that's just important to know about. It's still a tremendous value for what it is, and you just need to know about it. I just found out myself 2 minutes ago that this is a serious issue with this saw. Probably more so than the seam in the tracks, believe it or not. So as soon as we get that remedied and we get this thing rolling smoothly, I'm going to level this thing off, and then we're going to run some trees through it and see what happens. Yep. We can always grind that off if we need to.